The Forgotten Shadow.
When I was 8, my family moved into an old, creaky house at the edge of town. My parents said it was a fixer-upper, but to me, it felt like we had stepped into someone else's forgotten memories. I didn't like it much. But what choice did I have? The strange things started happening almost as soon as we settled in. At first, it was little stuff, misplacing my toys or forgetting what I had for breakfast. I figured I was just being careless, but then things got weirder. One evening, I ran into the living room after playing outside, excited to tell my mom about the swing I found in the backyard. "Mom, guess what? I found this." She cut me off, her face pale. "Where have you been?" "What do you mean?" "I was just outside." She looked at my dad, her voice shaky. "She's been gone for hours." "We've been looking everywhere." I blinked, confused. "No, I haven't. I was just by the big tree. I was only gone for a few minutes." They didn't believe me. My dad stood up, his hands shaking a little as he said, "Sarah, it's past midnight." That didn't make any sense. I was sure I'd only been outside for a little while, but the clock on the wall said otherwise. I didn't argue. Maybe I was wrong. But then other things started to slip away, names, faces, even entire days. A week later, I woke up in the basement. I had no idea how I got there. I told my mom about it, but she just looked at me with tired eyes, saying I must have sleepwalked. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. There was something else in that house, something that had been there long before we arrived. One night, I woke up to a low, eerie humming. It drifted down the hall. Soft but unmistakable. I climbed out of bed and tiptoed toward it. The sound led me to the attic door, which was slightly open. I could feel cold air seeping through the crack. "Hello," I whispered, feeling silly but scared all the same. No response. I pushed the door wider and stepped inside. The humming grew louder, echoing off the dusty walls. That's when I saw it. In the far corner of the attic stood a figure, tall, dark and faceless. Its long, thin arms seemed to stretch toward me, fingers curling in the air like they were pulling me closer. I gasped, stumbling backward. What are you?" I stammered, my voice trembling. The figure didn't move at first. It just stood there, humming that same haunting melody I couldn't place, and then it spoke. "Sarah," it whispered, the voice oddly familiar, yet wrong. "Don't you remember?" I froze, my heart hammering in my chest. Remember what? It stepped closer, its shadow stretching across the floor, wrapping itself around me. "You've forgotten," it said, almost sadly. "But I haven't." Images flashed through my mind, me running through the woods, someone holding my hand, dark whispers in my ear. But the harder I tried to remember, the more the memories slipped away, like trying to hold on to water. "What do you want?" I choked out, my voice barely a whisper. The figure didn't answer. It just kept humming that same horrible tune as it came closer and closer. I wanted to scream, but my voice was gone. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. And then, everything went black. The next thing I knew, I was waking up in my own bed. Sunlight streamed through the window. Birds chirped outside. It was as if nothing had happened, but something was wrong. I couldn't remember how I got back to my room. I got up and looked around, half expecting to see that shadowy figure in the corner, but there was nothing. Everything seemed normal. Except, when I glanced at the mirror, I saw something, a flicker of movement behind me. I turned around quickly, but the room was empty. Sarah, whisper brushed against my ear. I never looked in that mirror again. What had I forgotten? And why did the shadow know more about my past than I did? The answers were there, just out of reach, locked away in the darkness of my own memory. Years later, I swore I would never set foot in that house again. I moved away, started a family of my own, and put that part of my life behind me. But here I am, standing in front of that same old house, holding my son's hand. He's only 8, just like I was when I lived here. It's strange, but when my parents passed away and left the house to me, I felt this pull, this strange need to return. Mom, Liam tugs at my hand. "Why are we here? You said this house was bad." I smile down at him, though it doesn't reach my eyes, just to see it one last time. We step inside and instantly I feel it, the same cold air, the same eerie stillness that used to fill the halls. The memories rush back in waves. The forgotten nights, the figure in the attic. I lead Liam upstairs, my heart pounding in my chest as we reach the attic door. It's just like before, slightly ajar, as if it's been waiting for me all these years. Stay here? Okay, I tell Liam. But I won't be long. I push the door open, and cold air hits me. It feels like stepping into a memory. The room is exactly how I left it, dusty, dark and silent. Except now, there's something else. A figure stands in the corner, tall, faceless, familiar. My breath catches. It's real. It's still here. You've come back, it says in that same whisper, though now it sounds almost satisfied. I step forward, my knees weak. What do you want? You never remembered, Sarah, but now you're here. It's time. Time for what? It steps closer, its shadow stretching toward me. For you to know. I try to move, but I can't. My body feels heavy, like the air itself is holding me down. Mom, Liam's voice breaks through the fog. He's standing in the doorway, his small figure silhouetted against the dim light from the hall. The shadow flickers, as if disturbed by his presence. Liam, it whispers, turning its faceless head toward him. He will remember. No, I shout, finally finding my voice. Leave him alone. The shadow hesitates. I feel its grip loosen, just for a moment. Take me, I say, my voice trembling. Not him, please. For a long moment the room is silent. Then, the shadow begins to retreat, its form fading into the darkness. You can't run from your past, it says, barely a whisper now. But the boy will remember. And then, it's gone. I rush to Liam, pulling him into my arms. His small body shakes, but he doesn't cry. He just looks at me with wide, scared eyes. Mom, he whispers. I heard it humming. I swallow hard, holding him tighter. We're leaving. Now. We run from the house, slamming the door behind us. As we drive away, I glance in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see the shadow standing in the doorway, watching us leave. But there's nothing. It's over. But deep down, I know it's not. Not really. The shadow may have let me go, but it's still waiting for Liam, waiting for the day when he'll remember. And when that day comes, I won't be able to protect him.